Thank you all for joining me so much again for another InvArch Weekly Community Call on another beautiful Friday. I'm Casey Richardson, InvArch Community Manager, and I'm ready to get this show on the road, guys. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about, and I would like to just go ahead and dive right on into it. So, for those of you guys who are familiar with me, or you're familiar with how I like to do these community calls, or maybe this is your first time, usually I like to start these off by just saying something that I've done throughout the week that was really exciting, and then something relating to InvArch or .sama that's really exciting, and then just kind of pass it off to somebody else, let them do the same thing, and then move on from there. So to get started, something that was really cool that I did this past week since our last community call. So actually Saturday last week, I went out and got another tattoo. For those of you guys who don't know, I like love tattoos. So I just went out and got number 14. Pretty proud of it, pretty happy with it. So it was really cool getting that done. And then as far as something related to .sama, InvArch, that was really exciting this week to get done. Was probably just finally getting to launch this GetArch private beta event. Now, I'm not a dev by any means, but just getting to see this action finally kick off and seeing just how excited our devs were from their standpoint and their perspective was really cool. When I tell you, like, they've been exhilarated, they've been like talking, it seems like 24/7, like just back and forth constantly. It's been really cool. It's been really exciting getting to watch this stuff go down. But yeah, that's my week, the excitement that I had. AJ, I'm going to pass it off to you so you can share with the community as well. Something that you did this week that was really cool, and then something InvArch or .sama related that you thought you did this week that was really cool. And then if anybody else from the community wants to share after AJ does, you're free to do so, unmute yourself, or we will move on into the next segment.
Thank you, Casey. Just to double check, can I be heard very clearly? Am I
Yep.
being heard clearly?
Yep. Nope. You're coming through perfectly clear. Your mic quality is good.
Sweet. Hello, everyone. Yeah, happy Friday to all of you, or maybe Saturday, depending on where you are. But yeah, I'm AJ. If you don't know me, social media manager here at the InvArch Network. Something exciting. Well, I am pretty excited to say that I've been doing well. Like I've started taking care of myself a lot more, and I've been cooking a lot more. Cooking like whole foods and going to the gym a lot more. So that's exciting for me, and I feel great. I feel awesome. I feel a lot more rejuvenated and more energetic starting off my days. So yeah, and then in terms of .sama, I would call this like a follow up. Since like speaking of the Tinker LBP event, if you guys haven't noticed, Mangata and Imbue Network announced that they'll be launching their LBP event. So that's pretty cool and pretty exciting. And I feel like, TinkerNet setting that example, setting that precedent, being the first LBP event in .sama, has really just established that, and I can't wait to see like more projects do the same. So yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like, it's really cool seeing everybody in the ecosystem. They really like the tokenomics behind it, and they really like the way that we did it, the mechanisms and stuff. How it was really rewarding to the community, and was basically intended to completely, it can't completely stop, but get in front of the front running and the bots and everything like that, and prevent them as much as possible. And with the success of our LBP, I mean, I would like to say that the community was pretty happy with the way that things turned out. I don't think anyone's might argue that, but with that being said, yeah, no, very, very exciting. I'm excited for that too, being as it is like the next LBP in the ecosystem. I'm excited to see how that turns out as well, because I think a lot of people really like the mechanisms behind LBPs now. Those people who it might have been like their first one, especially. And then you also have those individuals who really were like vocal about being like, man, I really messed up. Like, I wish I would have participated when I had the chance. And so with this being the second one that's going into this way, it'll be interesting.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mike.
Hey, so I just want to talk about that real quick. So cool thing about the Imbue and Megata one is I introduced them back in April, got them rolling on a partnership, and I've been kind of watching this whole thing play out in Telegram of them going back and forth and working on the Coco and getting this LBP launched. So that's really cool. But this one's a little bit different. So this is actually going to be the third LBP in Kusama. Mangata had one for Turing. It's different than how Basilisk did theirs. It's Mangata does it where you can supply either. So in this case, so Tinker's case, or Turing's case, it was you could supply either side of KSM or the Turing token, and then it would balance it at the end where it was you get 50-50. So if you put one KSM in, you get 0.5 out and then 0.5 worth of Turing. And that's how the Mbu one's going to work as well. I think the Basilisk one is more like bouncers, where it has that curve that continues to drop until people start buying. So a little bit different mechanics, different game. I mean, I find the one that Mangata does is probably the less stressful of the two, but the bigger game theory and bigger payoff could be with like the one Basilisk did with the Tinker one, where if you time it right, you could do really well for yourself. So yeah, that's about all I got.
Hey, thanks, Mike. We love getting community input on this stuff. So it's really great seeing you guys like engage in the conversation. I love it. With that being said, thank you guys so much for once again getting engagement here. I love getting engagement from the community. So we can kind of move right on into the subjects though. We do actually have a bit to talk about. It felt like internally, or externally, I felt like there wasn't like a ton this week. And then like going back, I was like, oh, okay, I was wrong. I was like, I wasn't thinking about everything. So with that being said, like we can just kind of jump into it. Excuse me. So really quickly, if you guys didn't know, we'll move into like GitArch first. So with the private beta event being kicked off, it is going on right now. So if you guys didn't see this or if you missed it, I think you guys should check this out because this is really cool. The GitArch profile tweeted out, "Unstoppable code hosting unstoppable squids." As a member of the GitArch private beta, SubSquid has minted their squid template repository as an NFT, which is hosted on chain, decentralized and censorship-proof Git hosting. Check it out below. They even have a link to the repo right there, so you guys actually can check it out. I'll drop this link to this tweet here in just a second. But Web3's premier API framework, supercharging dApps across 30 plus chains and a number that is continuously growing, is SubSquid. Their aquarium or public gallery of community-built squid APIs empowers Web3 developers to build with unbelievable pace. SubSquid helps power the GitArch app. As a member of the GitArch private beta, their team works directly with the InvArch network to ensure that when all is said and done, GitArch is the most seamless and scalable alternative to centralized code hosting providers. So it's very exciting to see, guys. Once again, if you guys aren't familiar with SubSquid, we've partnered with them. Definitely go back and check out that partnership article. It's very, very interesting. And like they said, they literally provide basically an unbelievable service for the devs. Our devs literally talk about the squid on a daily basis and how much they love it. So once again, shout out to SubSquid because we love you guys and what you guys are building is awesome. That being said, once again, I said I would drop the link to that. Sorry, I almost forgot, guys. Just in case any of you guys wanted to check that out on the actual repo itself. Let me open the chat. Oh, I did drop it. I'm lying. Okay. So the next thing. So basically, quit. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. With that being said, there was this thread that was shared on October 25th by this individual. I'm not going to try to say his last name, but his first name is Thomas. And he said, for the first time, GitHub has surpassed $1 billion in ARR. What is ARR? In case you guys don't know, that's annual recurring revenue. So this achievement is a direct testament to the ingenuity and dedication of our hubbers and the long-standing trust held in us by the developer community and our customers. And we know this is just our beginning. It says, just as software is still in its early days, GitHub is just in its infancy. From their AI pair programming to the entire dev environment spun up in the cloud. There will be greater change to the nature of software development in the next 5 years than in the past 30. By enabling these changes, we can create an era of software development where every developer can build their best and have the best time of their lives doing it. In the years ahead, we'll do this by innovating and disrupting to put the developer first in everything we do. So this is coming from somebody who actually works for GitHub specifically. And so it was very interesting to see this tweet come out. So GitArch retweeted this directly and said $1 billion in annual recurring revenue for a third-party solution that demands, quote, long-standing trust, end quote, to control your code and own your account. Imagine $1 billion a year being shared across all developers, maintainers, and decentralized governors of the GitArch dApp, instead of primarily in the coffers of a corporation. So just putting that out there for the minds of you guys, like to truly imagine just how deep GitArch can go. And this is something that especially as non-devs, I can speak for AJ on this too, when it comes to like learning more about GitArch and just truly how powerful it's going to be. I feel like we learn more about it all the time. And this was one of those things where I realized like, whoa, like that alone, that statement right there, imagine it being shared across all developers, maintainers, and decentralized governors of the dApp. That's crazy. Rather than it being controlled by a centralized corporation who can also just rug your repo and your code out from underneath you whenever they feel like it. Which is not cool, unfortunately. Case point example is, of course, Tornado Cash, for those of you guys who have been following like why GitArch is so important and stuff like that. With that being said, too, kind of some alpha regarding GitArch. I don't know if you guys missed it. It was very, very cool. But this week we actually put out a little demo video, a short little guide. And it says, GitArch is a censorship-proof, version-controlled dApp that puts the power of Git back into the hands of developers. And GitArch users can launch modular and tokenized code bases using NFTs. Below, our lead front-end developer, Pedro, shows private beta testers how to create a new repository using GitArch. It's about a short little video. It's pretty cool, though. Just getting that first look at that being done is very exciting. And just seeing how fast things are evolving with GitArch, it's exhilarating, guys. Seeing how fast things are coming along with development. Not going to beat my chest on that one because I'm not a developer, but I know as far as that is extremely, extremely significant. And a lot of, for whatever reason, actually this week, I did get several messages from new members in the community, and they were very interested in GitArch specifically. They were asking me questions like, why does the world, excuse me, my throat's like giving out. Got a drink, there we go. They were basically like, why does the world need GitArch? And I was thinking back to this one post that we had made. This individual, we retweeted this, but he said, his name is the Blue Mat. No, GitHub, nuking a user and removing all history they have ever had on your site as if it hadn't existed doesn't only affect that user, it screws over random unrelated projects that the user contributed to. So if this guy basically had his exact, repo rugged from underneath him, any history tied to that gone, terrible situation, stuff like that happens. Unfortunately, it seems like it's happening more, or at least it's getting publicized more. But the reason why we say that GitArch is genuinely needed, rather than why do you all say that? Like, why do you say GitArch is actually needed? And it's because GitHub genuinely does have the final word over developers, and they can subject them to their code with absolute control. This is honestly, it should be a crime, in my opinion, but because you're using a centralized hosting service, they can do whatever they want to you. But it goes against true code ownership, and definitely goes against the spirit of decentralization. That's what we're all aiming for here in Web3. And this is why the world needs GitArch. developers and their users deserve what's called, or what we've been kind of referring to as its motto, is like unstoppable code. So you can own your data, own your code, and you can reclaim the web, and have true decentralized ownership over this stuff without relying on centralized services. With that being said, last little update to provide all of you guys on GitArch is that our founder will be presenting a technical discussion on GitArch at the Polkadot Summit at the Fort Mason Center in San Francisco, California, November 3rd. If you can, try to make it out. It'd be really exciting. I unfortunately am not going to be able to make it. It's like halfway across the country for me, and it's just for a day-long event. So mathematically, the math just wasn't mathing for me to be able to afford to go out there, stay, travel, and come back. So with that being said, though, does anybody have any other questions on GitArch? I'll answer them if I can. If not, I will write them down and go to our devs and get the solid answers and provide them for you guys next week, before we move on into the next subject, being InvArch. No? Cool. I like that. Not that I don't like your all's questions, but it's funny, if you guys are ever like listening to our AMAs and stuff, our founder's always like, I try to answer as many things that I think are going to be questions before I ever get to questions, and then when I get to questions, it's like nobody ever has any. And we're always joking, like, we don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I hope it's a good thing. I hope you guys are getting the information that you guys need. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and we can move on into the next subject, being InvArch. This one was kind of like, when we sent this out, it was sort of like short notice. I felt like I wish I would have like caught this tweet myself sooner. I don't know why, like kind of missed this one. But it's very, very important. So I'm going to drop this one into the chat box for you guys to check out as well, and kind of go over what it's talking about. So if you guys have checked out our roadmap before, you guys will know on there that we've talked about a multi-chain InvArch Builders program. So are you or your team interested in building using the most powerful technology and building blocks in Web3? If you are, you can sign up to be notified when applications for the multi-chain InvArch Builders program are made available. A link to sign up for that is in the description of this tweet as well. There's a link there. So if you guys are interested in that, if you know a team that might be interested in that, please share the news with them. This is extremely exciting. This is actually something that we have talked about extremely much in the past. So to finally see this being able to come to fruition, because things are finally getting the ball moving, is going to be freaking awesome. I'm genuinely like really excited for that. If you guys can't tell, the InvArch multi-chain, I feel like I'm getting that wrong. The InvArch Builders program, there we go. Multi-chain builders program is going to be exhilarating to actually watch that get off in action. That is a mouthful to say, by the way. InvArch multi-chain. I'm not even going to try to keep saying it. Yeah. Okay. InvArch multi-chain builders program. There we go. That is a mouthful. Okay. With InvArch's InV4 protocol as well. If you guys missed this, according to Galaxy HQ researchers, Sal Kadir and Gabe Parker, top NFT creators, made $500 million in royalties, but it came with sacrificing principles of decentralization. With InvArch's InV4 protocol, seamless royalty allocations are made possible and are fully decentralized. If you want to read more about that article and what they were, NFT creators have earned $1.8 billion in royalties to date. You can read more about it. I will say, just so you guys are aware, in that tweet specifically, it doesn't link or say anything that there's a link to the article and as a comment below, but there is. So if you guys are interested in reading more on the article, I recommend it. It's actually really interesting. But go ahead and check that out. It's just important to signify that people are starting to come to grips with the terms of they really would like to be able to profit from the royalties on their NFTs and things of that nature. And with the InV4 protocol, literally seamless royalty allocations are going to be made possible, and they're fully decentralized. So why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to use that? With that also being said, if you guys didn't see this, there's a little bit of alpha. This isn't necessarily related directly to InvArch, but for those of you guys who might be members here, Chaos DAO is actually really wanting to integrate the Daoist CDK that we are developing. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how that plays out. Allison Bob, who is the former server owner and I guess like founder / leader of Chaos DAO, like kind of the face of it, stepped down and handed that position and transferred server ownership over to Limo for the time being. If you guys, once again, didn't miss it, Limo is now the new server owner for Chaos DAO, and they're excited to be launching Chaos DAO as well on InvArch using the upcoming Daoist CDK. When that happens, as you guys are familiar with, if you guys have looked into the Daoist CDK, you guys know that it becomes a truly decentralized DAO. And they're not the only ones. So if you guys haven't been following like Subsocial, for example, they have their Spacers DAO, and Spacer DAO is also wanting to integrate the Daoist CDK technology to truly decentralize Spacer DAO and run it on chain. And they even said publicly in this scenario, it's likely that different rarities of spacers will have different levels of voting power. If you guys aren't familiar with where you might have seen something like that before, that's Udl DAO. So Udl DAO, it already has like these tiers of like voting power and things. And I see, shout out to all you Udls out there in the crowd right now. I see a couple of you guys. With that being said, for those of you guys who are audience members who aren't a part of Udl DAO, I still, honestly, I recommend it. It's really cool. It's really fun to hang out with the community in that just that decentralized like manner. And as well as when it fully launches on the DAO CDK, when everything is truly 100% decentralized, it's going to first happen on Udl DAO. So if you guys want to be part of making history for DAOs and actually like witnessing this first-hand experience of what this is like, then you need to get in as soon as you can. With that being said, I'm not going to downplay it and say like it's not an expensive ticket. All of the primary market NFTs that were listed have been sold out pretty much. So the only thing that you're doing right now is buying it off of a person who'd already bought the ticket themselves. So I think the floor price the last time I checked was like 10 KSM, which is like $350 USD basically right now. So with that, just keep that in mind. I understand that it's not cheap necessarily to get a Udl ticket right now, but it is going to be an extremely rewarding experience. And as well as I'm happy that I was kind of like veering off on Udl DAO for a second. But for those of you guys who are wanting to get involved with like Tinkernet and things like that as well, if you guys missed it, they are going to be doing another airdrop of Tinker in December for Udl DAO members. You have to be a member, not just a visitor. But if you guys are interested in that, just make sure you go back on our Medium and you look into that article so you understand the way that this whole process is going to work with the airdrops. It's all public information. It's all publicly available. So please don't just assume you know what the stipulations are. I've unfortunately had to explain, so we recently had our Tinker airdrop for former ambassadors. They had to register for it and give us their wallet address, and some people unfortunately did not register in time. And they've been coming to me and being like, hey, is there anything I can do? Unfortunately, there isn't. When these deadlines are met, that is the deadline. And there's nothing that we can do to reverse that. So make sure that you guys understand the deadlines, you understand the dates, because once they're met, and there's nothing we can do about that. With that being said, the last little bit regarding InvArch that I would like to highlight that's really cool is we were recognized by Polkadot Insider as being number 7 out of the 10 most engaged projects on Polkadot in the ecosystem in the last 30 days. So very, very big. We keep getting recognized by Polkadot Insider. It's pretty cool. For those of you guys who might be like, who is ahead of you? So Moonbeam came in first place. Really no surprise there. They're always freaking killing it. BitCountry in number 2. Kilt Protocol in number 3. Circle in number 4. BeamSwap in number 5. A-Star Protocol in number 6. Us in number 7. Stella Swap in number 8. I'm actually wearing a Stella Swap t-shirt right now. Parallel Finance and Origin Trail in number 10. I could not read that last little name. But it was very cool, once again, to get recognized by Polkadot Insider for that accomplishment. It's always exhilarating, honestly, to see the support from the community and see that, sometimes as an ecosystem or as a team, really, we'll just be like we know that we're an engaging project, but like, does the community get it? Does the community like it? And so when we see stuff like this, we're like, okay, the community likes it. So it's very reassuring. Thank you all so much for your support. For those of you guys, we're going to move on now as well into TinkerNet. That was the last little bit of information that I had to update you guys regarding InvArch. So TinkerNet. TinkerNet is the blockchain where you can bring your ideas to life. It's for community kickstarting, feedbacking, and then launching. It's a square one for innovation in Web3. If you guys unfortunately missed out on the LBP or maybe the crowd loan, I'm sorry. It was really, really cool. It was a really rewarding experience for everyone who participated. But if you want, there is the option. Of course, you can still go and get Tinker on Basketless Finance right now. If you're doing swapping. If you guys didn't catch this week, Crane, who did the financial analysis on TinkerNet, which was awesome, he recently released an article as well as a thread over IP staking, which is coming very, very soon on TinkerNet. So I'm just going to read through his thread really quick, and then as well I'm going to break down his article. So Tinker Parachain is going to introduce a new method of staking soon, IP staking. You want to know what's up with that? Here's a thread for you. So, what is IP? Intellectual property refers to the creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs and symbols, names and images used in commerce. What is IP staking? IP staking allows projects with unique ideas to generate funding without the significant hurdle of raising funds as an emerging project. For stakers, it adds an additional layer of philanthropy to the necessary mechanism of securing the blockchain. How does it work? When you IP stake, you choose an idea in need of funding and stake your funds with them. With your commitment, you will share the OSIF staking, on-chain innovation funding, rewards, in a 40-60 split. Philanthropic staking? Yes, that's right. Instead of a cause less numbers staking game, you can support projects with amazing ideas to help create real IP value. IP staking will be the first step in the IP funding trifecta of IP staking, IP farming, and IP donations. These three IP funding mechanisms will foster the InvArch network as the place to be for entrepreneurship inside crypto. When IP farming will get introduced, this will elevate the IP yield game to another level with the ability to reward IP-specific project tokens. How valuable can IP staking be for investors? In the early months after launch, IP staking will be a valuable tool for investors. The following graphs show the expected yield for theoretical 1-year APR and APY. So I'll actually drop a link specifically to this tweet so you guys can take a look at the chart. However, this is not the start of the thread for any of you guys who want to read along with it. This is tweet number 7, of the thread. But there's a image of the chart there for you guys who don't want to read along. You can see it on the tweet that I just dropped. So those are the staking rewards. It says, as the graph says, the following graphs are an expected yield for theoretical 1-year APR and APY. Yield in the first 3 months, as shown in this graph, early investors can expect to add another 25 to 45% in the first 3 months of staking, when the staking rates stay in the range with the other comparable parachain projects. Comparing Tinker to other parachains, if 9.62% of Tinker owners stake their tokens on-chain like Turing, it would result in a massive APY of 328%. If 15.54% of Tinker owners stake their tokens on-chain like Zeitgeist, it would result in a fantastic APY of 145%. What about higher staking rates? Even at staking rates of 25% and 35%, staking Tinker would return a very solid yield of 75% APY and 40% APR respectively. Remember that this is during the bear market phase where accumulation is key. And the medium to long term, in 4 to 6 months, when the circulating supply grows and staking rewards come down, the expected APY per year can reach realistically low triple digits, depending on the number of tokens staked. Long-term projection, In months 7 to 12, the projected APY is nothing to scoff at, as shown in the graphs below. A projected APY in the high double digits a year after inception is fantastic. Summary: with IP staking, investors can decide which IP set they want to support while making no compromises to their yield, as IP staking is the introduction to an even more exciting mechanism like IP farming, which will become available at a later point. From an investor perspective, the forecasted APR, APY, and APR3M look fantastic, even at high staking rates that seem to be unattainable for other projects so far. Especially the near medium future could be a great opportunity for investors. With this in mind, accumulating Tinker tokens during a market phase where many investors can take their money out of the market can be extra profitable when the correct time horizon is set. You can read his full article here. And if you thought that was really interesting, I do recommend you guys give Crane a follow. Maybe like his retweets, maybe retweet that. Just show him some support. He's a fantastic individual in the ecosystem who does a lot of really in-depth and break down detailed analysis into these things. So I highly recommend you guys check him out. But I'm also going to break down his article for you guys. If you guys want to read it, you can check that out there. So, intro. Yield farming opportunities are a staple of all cryptocurrencies. Investors and everyone, in general, seek out different ways to grow the number of tokens in their portfolios. One of these ways is staking tokens on chain, which is necessary for any proof-of-stake-based blockchain network. The first and the most dominant iteration so far is simply staking to secure the network. In recent years, more innovative, complex staking versions of traditional staking, like liquid staking and A-Star's dApp staking, have been curated. Shout out to A-Star for creating dApp staking. That stuff is amazing. InvArch's IP staking adds another iteration to the list of staking methods. Until now, no project connected staking rewards with philanthropy in a way that stakers could actually profit from staking while also generating funding for their favorite projects. InvArch's IP staking changes the bland mechanism of traditional staking into a philanthropic event for all participants. InvArch already announced that IP staking would be just the beginning, with IP farming and IP donations implemented later. Besides the official provided functions, this could be fruitful soil for unofficial dynamics and mechanisms to flourish. What is IP staking? So, IP staking allows projects with unique ideas to generate funding without the significant hurdle of raising funds as an emerging project. With IP staking, projects are not forced to give up token allocations to supporters because the rewards for IP stakers are paid by the InvArch network instead of the projects. This might come in handy if giving up token allocations is unsuitable for a project requiring funding. Up until this point, as a yield farmer, you only needed to decide on a project or a token farm and commit. The most relevant information for your decision was the amount of sustainable yield you expected. This causeless way of staking gets a new twist with the introduction of IP staking. When you IP stake, you choose an idea in need of funding and stake your funds with them. With your commitment, you will share the OSIF staking rewards in a 40-60 split. There's also an image there to kind of detail that for those of you guys who are following along. Instead of a causeless number staking game, you can support projects with amazing ideas to help create real IP value. IP staking will be the first step in the IP funding trifecta of IP staking, IP farming, and IP donations. InvArch already announced that IP staking is just going to be the beginning and that later on these will be implemented. These three IP funding mechanisms will foster the InvArch network as the place to be for entrepreneurship. After a big landscape of flourishing IP sets is onboarded, IP farming will elevate the IP yield game to another level with the ability to reward IP-specific project tokens instead of network tokens. If we combine this with the idea of staking, it becomes clear how InvArch can become the innovation hub of not just Polkadot and Kusama, but maybe the whole cryptosphere. How valuable can IP staking be for investors? First and foremost, IP staking rewards and in turn token dilution are locked to 10% inflation per year of the total supply. This guarantees that token holder dilution is kept in check while providing a great opportunity for early investors to gain significantly on their stack. The staking rewards will offset the 10% token inflation by a good margin. This can be seen as a prime opportunity to get exposure to the InvArch network in the midst of a bear market. Current price action does not accurately reflect the potential and its innovation InvArch has occurred through developing new models such as IP staking. As one of the first projects to do so, InvArch will introduce on-chain staking for unvested tokens with auto compounding. Comparatively, this is a great change for token holders and an advantage over idling unvested tokens from other projects. The advantages of staking unvested tokens are obvious. A higher staked number of tokens will increase the security of the chain, which is an immensely important thing considering the recent takeovers on various other blockchains and DAOs throughout all crypto ecosystems. Another advantage is that the unvested tokens will not be subject to inflation, as they will grow faster than the 10% yearly inflation the total Tinker supply is subject to. In the early months after launch, excuse me, I'm going to get a drink. I'll just restart. In the early months after launch, IP staking will be a valuable tool for investors. The following graph shows the expected yield for theoretical 1-year APR and APY. This is the same one as provided in this thread. The early potential is evident when looking closely at the numbers of comparable parachains. Currently, the 9.62% of circulating supply is staked on-chain. So he's just once again going over here the same numbers that we just covered in his thread. So I'm not going to go ahead and go all over that again. But his summary, so InvArch's IP staking is an interesting new take on an old essential mechanism for proof-of-stake blockchains. With IP staking, investors can decide which IP set they want to support while making no compromises to their yield, as IP staking is the introduction to an even more exciting mechanism like IP farming, which is going to become available later. As little information is available right now, one can only imagine the opportunities which may arise with these solutions. But for now, investors already have the chance to get a feel for the philanthropic IP staking mechanism. Especially the near to medium future is a great opportunity for investors. Besides having favorable staking parameters, TinkerNet's price seems to have stabilized after the highly successful LBP and the following unlock of initial crowd loan allocations. With this in mind, accumulating Tinker tokens during a market phase where many investors take their money out of the market can be extra profitable when the correct time horizon is set. Recent token price behaviors has shown that many don't have this foresight and choose short-term gratification instead, which could lead to frustration later on. So, with that being said, I hope you guys feel a little bit more confident on your understanding of what IP staking is, what it's going to allow you to do, and also just I hope you guys are excited for it because it's going to be really, really exciting. Of course, this is coming first to TinkerNet with OSIF. If you guys aren't familiar with OSIF, you guys can actually go to our Medium, and rather than go to the InvArch Medium, and rather than like scroll through all the articles to find the one that I'm talking about, you guys click the lists option, and it'll take you to our EduSeries. And there's an EduSeries article covering OSIF. It gives a pretty in-depth breakdown and explanation of what you guys can expect from all these different staking mechanisms and things. So if you guys need a refresher, or maybe you guys, this is your first time listening in and you have no idea what OSIF even is, then definitely go on our Medium, go to InvArch, and go read the EduSeries article covering it. With that being said, the last little thing that I wanted to highlight with TinkerNet, this happened kind of like just last night in the evening. Trustless XCM transacts have been unleashed. That's right. So Gabe released a demo video on how to perform a trustless XCM transaction. This unlocks the power for INV4 multisig to be executed on TinkerNet by users of other chains. So if you guys want to check this out, it is pretty cool. When this happened, it was once again, it was kind of like late, and Gabe was all freaking out. He's like, I can't believe this is actually, like, I can't believe this is, like, I did this. This is so freaking cool. We were talking about it for a while. But once again, check out that video. It is really, really cool. With that being said, though, that is the last little bit that I have on TinkerNet. And the last thing I have to update you guys on, is UtLDAO. So, with UtLDAO, still the fourth top collection on Remark of all time. Getting into that third spot might be a little bit of a challenge. I think we need like another 1,000 KSM or something like that. I just dropped a link to the ranking so you guys can check for yourself if you want to verify what I'm saying. That way you don't think I'm just talking out of my you-know-what. So top collection on Remark as well in the last 7 days. If you guys look at that on the rankings. At the time that I looked when I recorded the statistics yesterday, so these could have changed, don't quote me on these, but the volume was 3,223.5 KSM at the time, and the top sale was 80.3 KSM. with a total of 373 owners. Yeah, if you guys, you did hear that correctly, there was a sale for like 80.3 KSM. Somebody bought a secondhand semi-custom noodle ticket, and I believe it's relisted for like 99 KSM or something like that actively right now. But yeah, seeing that sale yesterday, whenever that happened, was like pretty crazy. It's a big KSM sale, especially like if that would have been like during the all-time high of like KSM value, like sheesh, that's crazy. For those of you all as well who are rainbow ticket holders, if you guys haven't, been paying attention in Noodle DAO, you might have missed it. But your rainbow rares are redeemable now. So there's a full read. I just linked the article there. There's not like there's not an article per se that you guys can all just publicly go thing, because it's a form specifically, and it's only available in Noodle DAO. So for those of you guys who have the rainbow tickets, hopefully you guys have already, followed that process and been paying attention. If you haven't though, just know that you can go ahead and begin that process of redeeming them. As well as one thing that was really cool, we talked about Polkadot Insider and how they've recognized InvArch, been giving InvArch a lot of attention. They also actually shouted out Udl DAO. So they said an ambitious project is in building IP rights for NFTs. IP rights are a target for many crypto projects, and the Udl DAO project, which has mutual CEOs with InvArch Network, is tackling this to serve well the NFT field. So that's funny. They said that we have CEOs as a DAO. No CEOs, it's a DAO. But for those of you guys who wanted to check that out, it is cool to get recognized, especially by, just as Udl DAO be recognized by Polkadot Insider. I seen that and I thought that was really cool, to see that recognition coming from another name in the ecosystem. And then lastly, a lot of you guys, a lot of new individuals, actually it was a lot of the same individuals who were asking about GetArch, but they were asking, a lot about the DAOist CDK. I know a lot of individuals have been like, like, when are we going to get more information on this? When are we going to get more information on this? I know everybody wants more information on it. With that being said, I'm not going to go through and break down this whole thread for you guys again. I've already done this. I've already covered this thread like twice, just to kind of like go into detail what the DAOist CDK is, because it's the best explanation that we have right now. So I'm just going to link it in this description, in the chat, in the community calls chat, for any of you guys who want like a refresher on what the DAOist CDK is, or you have no idea. Dive into that thread, take a look through there. It explains it pretty well and in depth, and gives you guys a much better understanding than what you probably currently have. With that being said though, that is the last little update that I have to provide you guys this week. Thank you all so much for joining me for a beautiful Friday morning community call. This is like the first Friday morning in like 3 weeks where it's not been like nasty weather outside when I do these things. So I've been very excited. I've been sitting here like watching the trees blow and stuff while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and it's just nice. But with that being said, I also seen earlier, not to forget it, Petros, I seen you said, is there a minimum amount to stake Tinker? So there will be a minimum amount, but we haven't determined what that will be yet. Of course, we will let you guys know once there is a minimum amount, what that's going to be. Sorry, by the way, Petros, I didn't mean to like almost forget your question. I just scrolled by it while I was reading. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for joining me. I will see you all next week for another InvArch Weekly Community Call on Friday. And once again, I just hope you all have a beautiful weekend, and enjoy yourselves. All right, guys, have a wonderful time. Later, everybody.
See you later, everyone. Have a good weekend.